Welcome to the High Performance Board Series. I'm Didier Carsen, Director of the IMD Global Board Center, and today we are discussing the governance of sports and how social and technological transformation are affecting that governance. And we have the privilege for this discussion to welcome Thomas Bach, the President of the International Olympic Committee. Thanks for being with us, Mr. President.
Great pleasure.
So we are in an incredibly transformed world, right? Change or be changed, right? And in this transformation, whether social, whether digital, whether actually, the pandemic's crisis is closing events or delaying events, agility is necessary. We see in large organizations both resilience today and agility. I have no doubt on IOC's resilience. How do you interact with members? How the executive board interacting? How do you create agility in that world?
Very well. We managed to take maybe the most difficult decision the IOC had to take for decades, to postpone the Olympic Games within 3 days with our Japanese partners and friends. We started the procedure on a Sunday in an executive board meeting, and the following Tuesday I had then the conversation with the Prime Minister Abe, and it took us about 40 minutes to decide on the postponement of the Games.
Fantastic.
And since then we are organizing these postponed Games also in virtual form. Which is a mammoth task. And there is no blueprint for it. These are the anti-COVID measures. How do we deal with this, with the social distancing? What will the environment be in 10 months from now? What kind of vaccine will we have? What will be the efficiency? There it works very well in weekly meetings. Where it works less well are issues where you need some more brainstorming, where you need to have broader and deeper discussions about strategic issues. The video conferences cannot replace the personal meetings, cannot replace, also being able to read the body language, to exchange also on the corridor. And there I hope that soon we can come back to at least some hybrid. In very complex strategic issues, and for us all strategic issues are complex because we have 206 national Olympic committees. We have 40 only Olympic international federations, plus another 50 of recognized federations. We have then the athletes' representatives. And there to address strategic issues is very complex.
Right, we are coming up to the end of Agenda 2020. I'd like to think about what do you see as the key areas of the future. I'd like to ask you specific questions about that governance. Maybe the first one I would like to address is the concept of independence in sports representation. This is complex, right? Because the sports world is quite small in some ways. And so we see overlapping representations, right, between CAS, between membership, between WADA, etc. At the same time, the principle of independence, or at least independence of perspective of individuals, is very central to governance. And you've demonstrated, for example, with the chair of the Ethics Commission, Ban Ki-moon, being, fully independent of the system. So what is your view of independence within the governance at large of the sports movement?
There we have to find a balance between avoiding conflict of interest and a fair representation of all the stakeholders. That's the task.
Right.
And this is at the basic question in the end. We need to have the input there from the stakeholders. We need to have the input of the international federations. We need to have the input of the national Olympic committees. We need to have the input of the athletes' representatives. Then you have to balance with the conflict of interest, where we are taking, let's say, a more pragmatic case-by-case approach, that we accept and appreciate this representation. But then we are very strict when it comes to questions concerning these stakeholders, that then these members cannot participate in the discussion or in the decision making. That's sometimes not easy, but our compliance officer is having a very strict look at it. So at the opening of each meeting of the executive board, for instance, she is advising the board which member may have a conflict or has a conflict of interest concerning particular questions.
Very good, very good. Another dimension of principle of governance, which is formidable these days, is of course diversity. Diversity of gender, diversity of ethnic background, but also of social background. And we know this is a powerful engine of creativity, of innovation. So, what's your view of diversity?
Well, first of all, the Olympic Games.
That's right.
Are the most diverse event in the world.
That's right.
And what we're saying, we are not only respecting diversity, we are embracing diversity, and this you can also see in the membership. We have all 5 continents. We have, with the Olympic Agenda 2020, increased significantly the number of female participation.
That's right.
In the Games. We will have gender equality in Tokyo. We had gender equality already in the Youth Games in Buenos Aires and here in Lausanne. Now we will also have it in Tokyo, in the Olympic Games.
And you feel there is a road towards that in governance bodies as well?
Yes, and off the field of play, the leadership, we have increased the number of female commission members from the beginning of Olympic Agenda, where it was 20%. We are now at 47.7%.
So you're there.
So I think we are pretty much there. In the executive board, we are at 33%. The first vice president being a female Afro-American, and in the overall membership, we are also now at 37% women, also starting from 20%.
Very good.
So
there is another dimension that I find very intriguing with the sports movement at large. I'm not talking only membership, I'm talking beyond, which is athletes' representation. Obviously, athletes are, the key stakeholders somewhere, right? And I've also noticed that athletes' representation sometimes in sports is highly politicized, and that you have groups and very strong groups that are forming there, which to me are contradictory to good governance. And so what are your views of athlete representation's potential within the system of governance of sports?
Now, there we are taking a democratic approach. We have the athletes electing their representatives during the Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. So every athlete participating in the Olympic Games has a vote, and they are electing their representatives. The representatives they are electing then become members of the IOC. Mm-hmm. And these then athletes, members of the IOC, they are electing a chair And this chair becomes automatically a member of the executive board. And the athletes commission, the athletes are the only stakeholders, if you want, who have a representation in each of the commissions they want to have.
So you feel it's the right balance of representation from athletes, or you would think of it as something that will amplify somehow?
I think it's the right balance. What is the challenge, for the athletes commission is that their constituency is not very well defined. Who is an athlete? And it's changing by the day. You have every day new athletes coming up. You have athletes who are giving up their career. And because of this ever-changing constituency, this gives some kind of pressure groups of which we do not even know whom they are representing and which mandate they have and how many they are representing, that they are then making some public noise and pretending to speak on behalf of the athletes. But the real legitimacy is, according to our firm conviction, are these democratically elected athletes representatives who are taking part in every decision the IOC is taking.
We live in a world where fragmentation, politicization is becoming dramatic, right? How do you feel the Olympic movement will be able to fulfill its mission within a world of extraordinary tensions?
By being politically neutral. We have to concentrate on our mission, and our mission is to unify the entire world, all these athletes from the 206 National Olympic Committees and the IOC Refugee Olympic Team in a peaceful competition. And we can get them only together if we are politically neutral. And if we don't take a side in any political disputes, we could not have managed to have the North Korean and South Korean Olympic team marching together on Korean soil if we would have taken a side in these high tensions between North Korea and US and North Korea and South Korea and the whole tensions in the region, but to concentrate on our mission to build bridges and to unify people and not to divide them.
That's right.
And this is where we are standing against the zeitgeist, which is in fact very much, unfortunately, about confrontation and is very much about the politicization of all aspects of life.
That's right.
Even health, vaccines are now politicized.
Yeah, neutrality is a big challenge for large organizations all over. I'm thinking also of solidarity. And it's intriguing, right, how many of the federations are financially suffering from the situation. How do you see that in the future? I mean, I understand that, right now you probably are acting on that. But how do you see that element of solidarity?
Solidarity is in the DNA of international sports. Where one of our values is respect. But what we say is respect is not enough. It's not just respecting each other. What you need to do is helping each other. And this means solidarity. It's not enough to say, I respect your opinion, it's all fine, and then you do your business. If we really want to live the value of respect, we have to go one step further. We have to help each other. We have to live in solidarity. And this is essential for the whole Olympic system. This is why the IOC is distributing 90% of all its revenues for solidarity models to all the 206 national Olympic committees, to athletes from all sports, whether they are popular or not popular, to the organizing committees of Olympic Games to enable them to prepare the stage for the athletes. And this is why we now also support the international federations and the NOCs who are suffering from the crisis. And where we try to bridge the gap until then sport is coming back on a broader scope again on the international level, so that then they can again have their own revenues again.
But we are still moving even more to a world of winner takes all. We see it in business. We sometimes see it in sports as well, right? In football, in tennis.
What I can see is, and what I would expect is in fact, kind to speak in your language, a consolidation. And a consolidation, in particular, with the proliferation of sports events. There, what we have seen in the past is that every year somebody invented new sports events, and the calendar got richer and richer. And I think there we will see a consolidation because one day the debts will have to be paid by the governments, but also by the enterprises. And that means that there will be new priorities. And there it would be logic, that also there, when it comes to organize sport events, that some may think twice. And this is for what we are trying to prepare. The international federations, and also to embrace the new trends. What does it mean then for if it comes to a consolidation on real sports? Will we see on the other end, or will we have opportunities on sport simulating e-games and e-sports, for instance? These are
the digital transformation as well.
These are our is our vision for the future, and how to benefit from the crisis and to take it as an opportunity.
Excellent. My last question will be on the sensitive topic, but essential topic, right, of integrity in sports. With the issues of doping, of match fixing, all the integrity issues that we see on sports. And how do you see transparency and accountability within the movement, at the IOC level, even within your members, but also through federation and the governance of that in the future?
I think the governance and integrity of the IOC, thanks to the reforms of Olympic Agenda 2020, are now widely acknowledged. And there we have taken, different initiatives. You're mentioning doping, where we have made the anti-doping system independent, right? Even from us, to avoid even the perception of a conflict of interest we may have. We have founded the International Testing Agency and made it available to the international federations. When it comes to a match fixing, we have there a great cooperation with many governments in the world, with Interpol, with Europol, and
same with corruption,
and our own unit here in the house. And when it comes to anti-corruption, there we have co-initiated at the time with the British government an initiative which is called IPEX, where you have UNODC being represented, where again you have Interpol, you have Europol, you have a number of NGOs and governments, and there also the leadership role of the IOC is well appreciated. So we are working on this, but this will always be work in progress. Mm-hmm. You will never have a system which protects you 100%.
Of course.
And our challenge now in the next stage, is, and this is again the vision for the time after Olympic Agenda 2020, the one digitalization and the opportunities for sport, but another part is how can we transfer better this standard of governance to the stakeholders. And there we have the challenge, as always, that our stakeholders, at least in particular the international federations, are autonomous. What we try to do there is to lead by example.
So we are, at the heart of arguably the most sustainable building in the world.
No.
One of the most
in our category, but anyway, overall, one of the most sustainable buildings in the world.
How will sustainability transform the games, in your view? Because clearly, right, people are rethinking travel differently. People are rethinking, large events differently, right? So do you have a sense of how the future of sustainability will transform the games?
There will, and this is why we are working on a program which we call to make the Olympic Games fit for the post-corona world.
Nice.
And this is addressing exactly these questions. There is one big and important part is to make even more use of existing facilities. And there we will see huge progress then for Paris 24, which will be the first Olympic Games which have been allocated under Olympic Agenda 2020, fully in place, where more than 90% of all the venues will be existing venues. And the only big new infrastructure there must be the Olympic Village, which is a very sustainable investment, because it will provide much needed housing in underprivileged area in the banlieue of Paris. And the same is true for Los Angeles in 28, also more than 90% existing facilities. And there we are trying there also then by composing the Olympic program in the right way, then to reduce the number of venues being needed by accommodating different sports in one venue wherever possible. And then it's about much more. There is now for Tokyo already a very innovative and new approach with regard to everything what concerns mobility, where we are working with Toyota on a mobility concept. So overall, we want the IOC as organization is carbon neutral right now, and the games in Tokyo are also supposed to be carbon neutral.
Okay.
But our ambitious goal is to make the IOC as an organization and also the Olympic Games climate positive even before 2030. So it's not only about the games, it's also about the IOC as an organization, where we are making all these efforts, again, to make the IOC and the Olympic Games fit for the post-corona world.
So we look forward to that transformation through Tokyo, Paris, and Los Angeles. Mr. President, it was a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much for having taken the time with us.
No, thank you very much for the question, from which I also learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.